Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a bit of it's a makeup tutorial, but there's kind of a whole lot going on in here. So it is a makeup tutorial over this look. I'm also trying some new products in this tutorial, so a little bit of a review as well. And then I'm also showing you guys how I do my full coverage base, like how I use on my clients, how I do it on myself, in order to achieve a very full coverage look, because I am going through a little bit of some skin issues right now, but to still make it seem very natural looking. So by natural I just mean very smooth and not cakey, because it is a lot of makeup, as I'm always honest about. I'm never like, oh, just a little bit of makeup here and there and you're good. No, I do like to pack it on, but it still looks very like pretty and wearable and natural, for whatever that means to people. But yeah, so I know it's been a while since I uploaded a video, but as we all know, because we're living in this world, we're living through this year all together, things were pretty heavy for a while and they still feel pretty heavy. But with that being said, yeah, I just didn't really feel comfortable uploading a video. I knew there were bigger things going on in the world. I knew there were other things that needed to be brought to light via internet, social media, whatever outlet that you use. So in order to, I feel like, make space for those important issues, a lot of people just kind of backed off to allow for those voices to be heard. I know this year has been crazy. I mean, I don't know any other word to use. This year has been a very big test for a lot of us, and it's not over yet, guys. We're halfway through the year. We still have another half ways to go. And I know it can be so discouraging with everything going on right now. And it's so hard to you almost don't even feel right sometimes to be happy about things. But I feel like it's important that although it is good to be aware of what's going on and to do the things that need to be done in order to make positive changes, at the same time it's also okay to take time for yourself, to take a step back, and just replenish, because if you don't, then you can't keep fighting the good fight when you have just been diminished to nothing. It's okay to be happy about certain things and to find joy, even if it's just in the smallest of things in your life right now. That's okay. And it's good for you. I think it's good for your mental health, your overall well-being. We're gonna get through this year and we're gonna take whatever else comes at us, because who knows what's next. But either way, I hope everyone is staying safe. I hope everyone is doing what they need to do in order to just get through this year and, to hopefully leave this year. I would like to close 2020 with knowing that there was still positive that came out of it. Enough of that, because I don't want to drag this out too long as an intro. But yeah, if you guys want to see how I got this look and everything else that's included in this video, then go ahead and keep on watching. So I am fresh out the shower, ready to do this. Actually, I went and picked up a few new things earlier today. I replenished on some stuff that I'm out of. So my favorite foundation at the moment, got a new one, and another one of my favorite mascaras, which I ran out a while back, and I was like, I don't know why I keep putting it off. And then I did get some new things. So I'm going to be trying out a couple, not a whole lot, just a few new items in this tutorial. So before we begin the eyes, I like to brush through my brows. They are laminated. I'm due for a retouch soon, but some still have the lamination on, which means they move around a lot. So I like to just make sure they're all brushed and they're not down. That way I can get in there really nice and clean when I prime my lid. So to prime my lid, I'm going to be using the P. Louise Base Pro. I've already used this in the past couple of my most recent tutorials. You can use whatever you like. You can use concealer or another eye primer base. I prefer a base that is like a concealer, which this one is. I like it to be matte. I like it to be full coverage. So I don't really mess with the primers that are clear or translucent or anything like that. So taking this on a flat concealer brush, I'm going to go ahead and outline the base. Once I've outlined the base, I'm going to go ahead and cover my eyelid with all of this. I have one lash extension, holding on for dear life. So before I go any further with my eyes, I am going to do something really quick on my base. So right now my skin is kind of going through it by my standards, because normally my skin, I will say I can't complain. It's always usually fairly good to me. But as of lately, I've been having a lot of hormonal breakouts and just breakouts in general. So I need a little extra help these days. So what I'm doing to spot conceal is I'm taking my foundation, which my foundation is a full coverage, also matte foundation. I'm just going to take a tiny bit out, and taking my concealer brush, I am just going to cover over the areas where I want a little extra coverage. And I just leave it alone. I let it dry. So when I go in with my foundation, it's going to already have that extra layer. It's going to be dry. It's not going to move since this is a matte foundation. And it gives you really good coverage. Back to the eyes. So eyeshadow these days, I'm going to be honest, not really anything exciting been going on. I have just literally been using bronzer most days if I'm doing my makeup. So there's that. I have not bought any new palettes. I am just using what I have. I haven't really seen something that's caught my eye. So let me just ask this now. If you guys have any suggestions on new palettes, let me know. I think I'm just going to be using the Tarte Toasted palette, which is one of my favorites. I might go into this one from MAC, which is their Natural Advice palette. We'll see. Making sure I'm patting down my concealer or my primer to make sure it's all nice and smooth. I'm going to go into the Toasted palette, and I'm taking the shade Cashmere, which is just a very light peachy shade. And on a fluffy brush, I am just going to put this all in my crease. So now I'm going to take a much thinner brush, something a little bit more defining. And I'm going to take the shade Warmth from the Toasted palette. And with this one, I'm going to just only focus on the outer part of my crease right here. I just want to make this a little deeper. And then taking a much finer brush again. I'm taking a pencil brush. This one's from Mary Kay. It's called their eye crease, but I consider this a fluffy pencil brush. This is a very old brush. So I'm taking the shade Cozy from the same palette. And same thing, just ever so slightly deepening that outer V. So to make things a little bit more blended, I'm going to go back in with the original brush, and just whatever's left on it, I'm going to go ahead and just blend out these edges. And then what I really enjoy about this palette is their matte shade, the very light one, the very first one called S'more. I like it because it's very pigmented and nothing aggravates me more than I'm trying to get a really nice bright inner lid, like on this lid part, and it just won't go. So sometimes it's me, sometimes it's the brush, but more often than not it's usually the shadow. It just doesn't really pack a punch like how I would like it to. So this one does. So I'm just going to take a flat shader brush. This one is from Crown. It doesn't have a name, but it's just a flat brush, fluffy brush. And I'm going to pick up some more on it, tap it, and I am going to just pack it on this inner third of my lid. Great. That is exactly what I wanted. Okay, so that's it for these shadows for now. I didn't even use the other palette. So now we're gonna move on to liner. So for liner these days, I have been enjoying doing a kind of like a half lid liner, not really carrying it all the way across, although sometimes you have to put a little bit, just tight lining, because if not, sometimes your eyelashes won't stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Inglot AMC Gel Liner 77, my favorite. I'm going to take an angle brush. This one is from Crown. It's their C160 1/4. So I'm just taking very little, And I'm gonna go ahead and map out my liner like I normally do. The good thing about this brush is that it's long, so it kind of does everything for me. We're gonna go ahead and dry it back. And I'm gonna stop it about like right where my iris is at. That's what it's called, right? Iris or pupil? Pupil. Liner on. I'm gonna go ahead and pop on lashes already, and I have some new lashes, which I'm excited about because these are from another local makeup artist here in my area. Her name is Ashley, and she came out with her own line. This is Ashley V Makeup, and these are her lashes. She gave me a bunch of goodies, a bunch of samples, so I cannot wait to try them because who doesn't love new things? So I'm debating on which ones to try because they're all so pretty, but I think I'm gonna go with these. I'm gonna keep it light today, which is shocking, I know. But I want this to be more of like an effortless look. So these are the style Iris. So you can see they're very, very natural, very, very light, but yet, I mean, they're mink. They look so pretty. These would be a good everyday lash. So I'm gonna go ahead and try these out first. So for me, because I want this to still be a lash that can stand out without being too overpowering, but not too natural to where, you know, there's some lashes you put on, you're like, man, it's like I'm not wearing lashes at all. Anyways, so to do that, especially with something like this, normally I cut off from here, right? Because that's the outer part. But instead, I'm gonna take a look to see how much I would cut off from the end. And instead of cutting off from the end, because I wanna keep these long babies, I'm gonna cut off from the beginning instead. Let's take my lash glue, and instead of applying it on the band, I'm gonna dot just a little right along my lash line. And you really don't have to wait too long. You just go ahead and pop the babies on. Whoa, okay, next one. Oh, these lashes are so pretty. Wow. These are one of the very few lightweight lashes that I've tried that actually still look like I'm wearing lashes. Like, they look so nice. I'm just gonna go over my liner and the band a little bit with this roller liner from Benefit. So, I'm gonna go ahead and skip over primer today. As I mentioned before, that's something that I do from time to time. I don't know. So I'm gonna do a very full coverage layer because I want to, and in order to do that, and this is what I do with my clients, I know there's a lot of controversy around this type of application, although I will say there is times where I've seen it be done and I'm like, that's a lot of foundation, and that's a lot that's like not gonna really go anywhere, so it's just like a lot on the face. But there's a way to do it to where you still get that full coverage payoff, but it's not so much product. So I'll show you. So basically what I do first, I'm gonna dispense some of my foundation out. I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand. So I'm gonna do about one. Let's do 2 pumps. 2 pumps is not crazy. I think most people like to stick with 1 if they're like really like going for a light layer. I usually do 2, sometimes 3 if I'm really pushing it. But what I like to do is I like to take a flat foundation brush. And again, as I said, this is what I do on my clients. This is what gives them that full coverage. And what I like to do is I like to apply this first flat, like on a flat brush, almost like if I'm trying to paint the face. Does that make sense? But I start off where I have the most redness. I'm basically spreading it out, trying to cover as much as I can without shearing it out too much. And I'm also able to get into this tricky nose area, which is like right in here, right? We always seem to have trouble there sometimes. So the reason why I like doing this is because it not only gives you a nice full coverage, but like I said, most of the foundations that I use, especially on my clients, they're not really like glowy sheer foundations. I mean, this is stuff for either photography or events. And I do like that nice full coverage, but I like it too to where when you take pictures and everything, it still looks natural. What's happening is it's starting to dry down a bit. And when that happens, that's ensuring that as full coverage as it looks right now, that's how full coverage it's gonna look once it's blended. Because when we're gonna blend it, we're really not spreading the foundation anymore because it's already been spread out by this brush. What's happening is we're just smoothing over those little paint stroke lines, you know, that is inevitable when it comes to using these flat brushes. And there, I mean, I still, like, obviously there's still a spot where the foundation was and a little bit left over, but I basically utilized the whole thing. And then from here, you can either take your sponge, I'll use a sponge today, or your brush, and just pat it down into your skin. And this foundation does dry down matte. I mean, this looks like I have powder on already too. I'm actually gonna be trying a new product, so hopefully this doesn't backfire on me. So I'm trying out the Milani Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer. This, I have tried, it's a new package. I don't know if this is the same formula that they had in the old Squeeze one, so we'll see. If it is, then I like it, I already know that, but if it's not, well, this is new. I'm using the shade Nude Ivory. So what I'm gonna do is just apply some underneath my eyes. And a little right in here. So again, taking my sponge, I'm gonna go ahead and blend this out. Wow, I like this concealer already. I'm just gonna go over on the side of the beauty blender that I used to blend out the foundation just to kind of marry the two. Wow, I love this concealer. I mean, I look real cat lady right now, but once we get the bronzer going. So I'm gonna be taking an oldie but a goodie translucent setting powder. This is the Laura Mercier. And I'm gonna go ahead and use my sponge to just set the under eye area. For this, I'm actually gonna just keep patting down until I no longer see traces of powder. I really just want this pushed. I'm not really baking with this, we're just setting. Okay, anyways, I love this. Very not disappointed once that's all done. This is optional. You can go right on ahead, especially if you're using a foundation as matte as this. You can go ahead and just move on to your bronzer, contour, all that fun stuff. This is another tip that I use for my clients that want that full coverage look. I still go over with a layer of powder, whether it be foundation powder or at least a buildable coverage powder. So normally I use my Bare Minerals powder. I am on the search to be replacing those very soon, just because I want to try something new in my kit. So I have yet to actually try this powder. It's been out, so it's nothing new, but it's new to me. I bought this also today. This is the Maybelline Fit Me matte and poreless powder. So it does say it's buildable coverage. It didn't say sheer, so let's hope that's not the case. So here's my deal with powders and why I like to do this step in the makeup process. So even when you use primer and then you do your foundation, you can get a really nice smooth surface, but foundation powders are made to look like foundation, right? Because they give you that nice coverage. Usually they're in loose form or they can be pressed like this. Sometimes you still have a little bit of pores and fine lines that can still be visible when it comes to, you know, after you're done putting on those products. So for me, I like to go over with a foundation powder and a brush that's a little bit more tight like this one in circular motions, because it kind of fills in those pores that just didn't get smoothed over too well with only cream products. So now we're gonna go ahead and use bronzer. This is a product I've used before. This is the Butter Bronzer. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this fan brush from Crown. This is their Jumbo Kabuki fan. Oh, I love this bronzer because it smells so delicious. I'm gonna go ahead and take that all over. So with bronzer, I always make sure not to like go too low on here. I want to keep it high. So I kind of just go right under my cheekbone, like bone, not the highest point of my cheeks. Same thing on my forehead, just kind of taking this across. And here on the chin and jaw, I'm going to just do a light layer. And I am coming up a little bit above just to create this shadow. Actually, I think that's all I'm going to do as far as contour as well. But I'm going to use a contour powder to contour my nose. And I'm just going to go ahead and contour this sucker. I'm patting down the edges. I'm just using the very side of my brush here. Kind of going up into my brow bone. Voila. So I'm going to go ahead and just take whatever is left on that powder brush that we used and just go over the edges. I'm going to highlight. I'm going to keep this matte. I mean, that's kind of just what I've been doing lately. I've been using this Pixie palette for a long time already, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick with it. I'm actually just going to highlight the tip of my nose. So taking a pencil brush and your favorite highlighter, I like to go ahead and do a little dot right at the tip. You can use your finger to like smooth out the edges. And same thing here. Yeah. And then go ahead and take your blush. So for the blush, I'm going to be using the Bare Minerals. It's still a coral color, but it's a different one at least. This one is called Bellini Brunch. I'm pretty sure I've used it on here before too, but it's a very nice color. I'm going to just pop that right on the apples and kind of like bring it up. Especially since we're not doing highlighter. Giving this kind of a matte-ish look. So I'm actually going to finish off my eyes and then we'll do the brows and then finally lips, and then I'll get this mop all dried. So before we finish off the eyes, I just really want to make sure this is like super, super clean. So I'm going to just take the brush that I used to clean up my eyelid, and I'm going to take, prime my eyelid, and then I'm going to take a teeny amount of the concealer just to like line up and sharpen my wing. So now we're going to finish off the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a little bit of that color Warmth on a pencil brush. And I'm only going to do it like on the outer 2/3 of my eye. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Cozy, and again, but this time just on the outer third. And then just put on mascara. So first I'm going to take my Benefit Ka-Brow. I'm going to go ahead and use this to fill in the base of my brow. So just kind of lining up the edge here to this brush and just brushing up. Okay, so then for the top of my brow, I'm going to take the Precisely My Brow, which is a very thin pencil. And we're just going to lightly line up and fill in the top. So last thing is lips. And I got a new purchase also. This is new to me. The Maybelline, what are these called? Superstay Matte Ink. This is in the color Poet. We'll see. It's kind of peachy nude, so it's kind of going with this whole vibe. I'm gonna need a liner. For sure I needed the liner. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and finish my lipstick. And that's it for the makeup. So I'm gonna just set everything in with my Makeup Obsession Fit Fix. This is a pretty okay setting spray. I don't think I've noticed anything like groundbreaking. I still think I would prefer my Urban Decay All Nighter, but it's not bad. And now time for the hair. So that wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and you can keep up with me on all my other social media platforms down below. They are listed and linked, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one.